Okay, so we are finally ready to get into this breakdown. Let's just jump right into it. I'll switch you over so you can see what I see. Okay, so tab. Starting first with this muted, I want to explain to you how I subdivide this into very tiny little scenes. If you take it all in one giant chunk, it becomes overwhelming. But if you make it really, really small, it becomes very manageable, and you don't get choked up with or overwhelmed and then flooded with indecision. Okay, so starting here, let me mark the first three scenes. I'm going to start one more time. So introduction. This is the first scene in my mind, and when it changes, when there's the first change, boom, boom. I jumped the gun. This is the first change, right? This is where the emotion or the strategy I chose will change, right? So we've got the first scene. Here's the introduction to the second scene, and boom, introduction to the third scene, which will be the title sequence. And this is what we're going to break down. So starting with the first scene, what does it need? Well, the clues are in the film. He's in school. He's obviously bored. But we don't really know what he's doing here until this moment, right? He could have been in detention, who knows? But now we know he's taking a test. And so we've got boredom and maybe pushing up against sadness up until that moment right there. That's when we're switching emotions, okay? In this new scene, in my mind, this is a new scene. I'm starting something new here, a new piece of music. It's primed for Mickey Mousing. Check this out. Look at his almost epileptic. I can't say that word. Contortions here. All right, his eyes fluttering. Right, and then this is the third scene, introduction of the main character and the title sequence, the name of the movie. Okay, so we have three changes already in what it says 10 seconds here. Okay, starting again. So I went with woodwinds, all right, to balance, because I want to push up against sad, right? Something that's minor to introduce this. But if you use woodwinds in kind of the mid-range, it softens sad and it pushes it not to silly, but woodwinds naturally have a bit of a silly sound. So I've experienced this in the past where I'm writing a really serious scene and I'm just kind of experimenting and I reach for woodwinds. Well, let's see what a clarinet would sound like here. And it just takes all the seriousness right out of it immediately. Like, oh, no, that softened it. I mean, if you're masterful with woodwinds, I'm sure you can get away with that. But I find that the woodwinds have a softening effect. So I want sad, but I don't want too sad, so woodwinds are my choice. So let's actually hear with what I went with, and we'll talk about it. All right. First thing, before even the woodwinds, you noticed a harp sweep. It fades from black here. So I do a gliss in an upward motion to introduce the film, right? Even that is, I think, is a minor chord, just kind of arpeggiating its way up. So I had this lazy clarinet and some bassoons underneath. Let's take a look real quick. How about make you go away? Hold on one sec. There it is. So I've got a couple of flutes. I've got this flute right here is important. I'll come back to that. But the clarinet is really carrying the melody there. It's got the weight, and then bassoon underneath, giving it some body. And that's really all it's playing. I've got also my harp and a celeste in there. That's really the whole thing. And this flute here is an important moment. Let's bring the video back. So you could argue that I'm just mood scoring, setting the vibe. But this one moment, I would argue, pushes it into scoring the picture. because it marks the introduction of the test. So let's go back here. Watch this. Boom, right there. We didn't know what he was doing until that moment. So while I'm setting the mood with the rest of the winds, I mark that moment. Okay. Now we're coming into the next, what I would call, subdivided scene. I can't carry this boredom feeling. Let me mute it one more time. I can't carry this boredom feeling into this. Look at this. This is wacky. What's happening here? You can't do that. You can't do boredom wacky on the screen. It's got to be wacky in the music. So let's look at it slowly, real quick. There is a lot of opportunity here. Look at this. What? What? That's the first Mickey Mousing moment that's available to us, really. Boom. And then his eyes kind of separate, and then he has this epileptic seizure almost. Boom, boom, boom. So this big giant what? And then his eyes. Look at his eyes. That's also prime for Mickey Mousing. Look at the lower eyelid go doot, 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 doot. All right, and this is where I would say the third scene is introduced here. We'll come back to that. Okay, so coming from this point, marking the test moment and into the wacky part, I'll show you what I did. Very much Mickey Mousing. So I first mark it. The transition from this sad moment is interrupted by a horn rip, a trumpet horn rip. And then, oops, I gotta let go of that. Hold on one sec, guys. Boom. It really doesn't like this movie, Cubase. I don't know what it is about it, but it gets all distorted. Just bear with me, guys. So I have this, where's my horn rip? Oh, it's here. Just this lone trumpet. It does this wonderful horn rip that just perfectly marks his eyes going wide, right? Also, to accent it a little bit, I've got some percussion. I've got a timpani that rolls into it. I'll back it up there. You hear that? Gives it a little body. Like if it was just the horn rip, it would be pretty much alone. Well, obviously it would be alone. It would be thin is the word I'm looking for. There's even a cymbal, a little cymbal swell in there. One more time. So this is Mickey Mousing. This is what I talked about in the last video. Okay, and the rest of this, these contortions, they're all staccato brass. All right. And I work my way up to introducing the main theme in the next scene, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm Mickey Mousing on two levels. I'm Mickey Mousing his body contortions, and if you look, the xylophone is marking his eye movements. So let's go here. Look at his eyes. You hear it twice? So it's Mickey Mousing within Mickey Mousing. It really turned out wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about the third micro scene, and then that'll be the end of this video. We'll move on to the next one. So we're introducing, here's the guy, here's the main character, it's the title sequence, the name of the film, Mind Games. This is a key moment. All right, a lot of movies have a theme, a through line, a melody or a motif that you hear a few times throughout the film. This makes a film feel cohesive. It makes it feel like the music and the movie aren't two separate things, that they are one thing. So I'm introducing the main theme. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. That really didn't know justice. Let me just play it. Hold on. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. This is the main theme. You're going to hear this in the middle section. There's a montage where I switch to mood scoring or thematic scoring, vibe scoring. All these names apply. I make a theme. It's no longer scoring to picture. It's just setting the mood. Okay. So it's important to take this opportunity to introduce the main character and plant the little seed in your audience's mind. This is foreshadowing. Da, 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 da. This is the brain's happy little tune. Okay, do I need to go into any depth about it? It's very simple. It's F major. I really don't know if this needs a whole lot more explanation. If you guys have any questions, just ask me on this one. But it is a key moment. And this is where I would mark my first 3 scenes. Look, we're like 11 seconds in, and I would already say that this is 3 scenes. And someone else would probably disagree with that and see it all as one thing. And that's fine, that if that's what you want to do. For me, it's so much easier to take this a bite at a time, if that makes sense. All right, let's go to the next one, guys.